Nationalism and a Classless Society. Income disparities is in itself not a problem. Different and unequally gifted people work unequally hard and have invested time and energy unequally in different educations, and it is only natural that this also gets reflected in the paycheck. The problem arises when you get a class society, a society where different Swedes live in completely different worlds. There are already today many Swedes who grow up in poor families in the immigrant suburbs under at least the same poor conditions as the more pigmented immigrant kids. Many of these young Swedes choose to identify with the immigrants against Sweden, and I personally have a difficulty blaming them for it, because Sweden, my country, has failed them. If Sweden is supposed to be defined by Reinfeldt, Salin, Wallenberg, and SVT, then these young people have nothing to thank Sweden for. Sweden has turned a blind eye regarding their parents not getting a job, turned a blind eye to their grandfathers' shamefully small pensions, have turned a blind eye to the fact that their schools, which just a couple of decades ago were regarded as the world's best, have deteriorated and become lousy and controlled by youth gangs. Turned a blind eye to the fact that they've never been able to go on a single holiday during their whole childhood. And all of this, the Swedish power holders have made real because they want to cut taxes for the most wealthiest people, increasing unemployment and lowering the wages, and put as much money as possible on a demographic project in which they attempt to replace the own indigenous people during our lifetime. Folk community. Simultaneously, some Swedes are living in abundant luxury. The princess's rich friends can waste tens and hundreds of thousands of kroner on a single night out or a single shopping spree. Can one blame the suburban Swedes if they find it hard to believe in a folk community in the face of the absurd reality? A society that is that divided into classes, where people have such different lives and conditions or opportunities as today's Sweden, such a society cannot have a folk community other than in empty phrases and in the world of propaganda. Quote, "Oh yes, I know that your grandfather doesn't have a penny left after the health care is paid, that he eats less than a prisoner at Kumla, but hey, we're all Swedish." End quote. Such nationalism becomes meaningless. It's folk community in name only. Moreover, it is a waste of human resources, since positions in such a society, more often than not, will be inherited. Inept upper-class brats will in such a society always be guaranteed the top positions, while many capable working-class children effectively are being kept away from society's elite. Call it natural selection all you want, but a divided society with unrelated individuals and competing groups will ruin even the alleged quote, "naturally selected" end quote, in the end, and the social breakdown and destruction of the social fabric. Since that is neither particularly wise nor intelligent, one might ask oneself the question what exactly it was that allegedly got selected. Anyways, and it is in this way we can reconnect ourselves to the new Swedish movement's old ideas about the classless society. I will again emphasize that by classless society, we're not talking about communism, where individual efforts isn't reflected in unequal paychecks. Personal autonomy is a necessary part in an organic state. Similarly, unequally efficient work and quality of work ought to, in an anti-egalitarian fashion, be reflected in the paycheck. We are talking about not letting the paycheck difference become too wide between too many power-wielding people or power-hungry people, as this will break the organic idea, corrupt the citizens, and be the initiation of a social decline that will end up ruining more than the poor Swedes. The ideas are founded upon pragmatic values of what's sustainable. They are as sound now as they were then, and if we do not return to it in time, future history will prove this to be the last time indigenous Swedes betrayed wise ways of old for short-sightedness.